Jonathan Sterling, a charismatic and astute banker in his early 30s, is the epitome of success. Born into a modest family, Jonathan's sharp intellect and unyielding determination propelled him through the ranks of Wall Street. Now, as the head of Sterling Bank, his name is synonymous with financial acumen and innovation. Jonathan's office, perched atop a gleaming skyscraper, is a sanctuary of luxury, mahogany furnishings, floor-to-ceiling windows offering panoramic views of the city, and shelves lined with books on economics and philosophy. Yet, behind his confident demeanor lies a man haunted by the sacrifices made and the ethical compromises endured to reach the pinnacle of success. Evelyn Monroe, a vivacious and ambitious flapper in her mid-20s, embodies the spirit of the jazz age. With her bobbed auburn hair, kohl-rimmed eyes, and a wardrobe of fringe and sequins, she turns heads wherever she goes. But Evelyn is more than a fashion icon. She's a savvy investor and a columnist for a leading financial magazine, offering insights with wit and candor. Raised in a working-class neighborhood, Evelyn's rise is a testament to her intelligence and tenacity. She navigates the male-dominated world of finance with grace and grit, challenging societal norms and carving a niche for herself. Their paths cross at an exclusive speakeasy in Harlem, a hotspot for the city's elite and bohemians alike. The air is thick with smoke and the soulful melodies of Duke Ellington. Jonathan, intrigued by Evelyn's spirited debate on economic policies, approaches her. Their conversation is a dance of intellect and flirtation, setting the stage for a complex relationship. As their relationship deepens, so does their entanglement in the era's exuberance. They attend lavish parties in Gatsby-esque mansions, invest in burgeoning industries, and become darlings of the social scene. Yet, amidst the champagne toasts and Charleston dances, subtle cracks begin to appear, stock prices that defy logic, whispers of market manipulation, and an undercurrent of unease. Amidst this backdrop, we meet Harold Finch, a meticulous and principled economist in his early 40s. A professor at Columbia University, Harold is known for his rigorous analyses and unyielding commitment to economic truth. He observes the market's meteoric rise with increasing concern, noting the dangerous disconnect between stock prices and underlying economic fundamentals. AccountingInsights.org. Harold publishes a series of articles warning of an impending market correction, citing rampant speculation, excessive margin buying, and the lack of regulatory oversight. He argues that the market's growth is unsustainable and that a crash is inevitable if corrective measures aren't taken. However, his warnings are largely ignored, dismissed as overly pessimistic in an era of unbridled optimism. Meanwhile, Evelyn Monroe, now a prominent financial columnist, stumbles upon discrepancies in Sterling Bank's financial statements. Her investigative instincts kick in, and she begins to dig deeper, uncovering a web of risky investments and questionable accounting practices. She confronts Jonathan Sterling, who assures her that everything is under control, attributing the irregularities to standard financial maneuvers. Evelyn's trust in Jonathan begins to waver as she uncovers more inconsistencies. She seeks out Harold Finch, intrigued by his contrarian views. Their meeting is tense but enlightening, as Harold provides her with data supporting his claims of an overheated market. Evelyn starts to see the bigger picture, realizing that the prosperity surrounding them is built on a fragile foundation. Amidst this backdrop, we are introduced to Marcus Lang, a formidable industrialist in his late 40s. With a reputation for ruthless business tactics, Lang has built a vast empire spanning steel, railroads, and emerging technologies. His offices, adorned with opulent decor and guarded by loyal aides, serve as the command center for his expansive operations. en.wikipedia.org. Lang views Jonathan Sterling as both a rival and a threat. Sterling Bank's innovative approaches and growing influence in the financial sector have encroached upon Lang's traditional strongholds. Determined to undermine Sterling, Lang orchestrates a series of covert operations aimed at destabilizing the bank. Lang employs a network of brokers and insiders to manipulate stock prices, spreading rumors and orchestrating sell-offs to erode confidence in Sterling Bank. He leverages his connections to initiate regulatory scrutiny, casting doubt on the bank's practices. These maneuvers create volatility in the market, causing investors to question the stability of Sterling Bank. Evelyn Monroe, now a respected financial columnist, becomes increasingly concerned about the irregularities surrounding Sterling Bank. Her investigations reveal a pattern of questionable transactions and undisclosed liabilities. Determined to uncover the truth, she confronts Jonathan Sterling in his office. The confrontation is intense. Evelyn presents her findings, demanding explanations. Jonathan, visibly strained, admits to certain lapses but insists they were necessary to maintain the bank's competitive edge. He pleads for her understanding, emphasizing the pressures of the financial world. Evelyn's trust in Jonathan is shaken. She grapples with conflicting emotions, her affection for Jonathan and her commitment to journalistic integrity. As she delves deeper, she uncovers links between Lang's manipulations and internal vulnerabilities within Sterling Bank. The realization that both external attacks and internal weaknesses threaten the bank intensifies her resolve. On October 24, 1929, Black Thursday, the market experiences a significant drop. Panic begins to set in as investors scramble to sell their stocks. Despite attempts by major bankers to stabilize the market by purchasing large blocks of stocks, the decline continues. The situation worsens on October 28, Black Monday, and culminates on October 29, Black Tuesday, when the market plummets by nearly 12%, marking one of the most devastating days in financial history. Amidst the chaos, Jonathan Sterling, the charismatic banker at the helm of Sterling Bank, vanishes without a trace. His sudden disappearance leaves the financial community and the public in shock. Rumors swirl about his involvement in questionable financial practices and possible connections to the market's collapse. Evelyn Monroe, once a prominent financial columnist and Jonathan's confidant, finds herself destitute. Her savings wiped out, she is forced to confront the harsh realities of the economic downturn. Determined to uncover the truth behind Jonathan's disappearance and the market crash, she seeks out Harold Finch, the principled economist who had warned of the impending disaster. Harold Finch, previously dismissed as a doomsayer, now finds his warnings validated. However, the vindication is bittersweet, as he grapples with the widespread suffering caused by the crash. He and Evelyn join forces to investigate the underlying causes of the economic collapse, delving into a web of corruption, speculative excesses, and regulatory failures. Evelyn Monroe, formerly a prominent financial columnist, finds herself destitute after the collapse of Sterling Bank and the disappearance of Jonathan Sterling. Her savings wiped out, she is evicted from her apartment and forced to seek shelter in a women's refuge. The stark contrast between her past life and current circumstances fuels her determination to uncover the truth behind the financial collapse. Desperate for answers, Evelyn seeks out Harold Finch, the economist whose warnings about the impending crash were ignored. Harold, now a pariah in academic circles for his contrarian views, welcomes Evelyn into his modest home. Together, they begin to piece together the events leading up to the crash, poring over financial records, newspaper articles, and personal testimonies. Their investigation reveals a complex web of corruption involving Marcus Lang, a powerful industrialist and Jonathan's rival. Lang had been manipulating markets to destabilize Sterling Bank, using insider information and political connections to orchestrate the downfall. High-ranking officials, swayed by Lang's influence, had turned a blind eye to his machinations. As Evelyn and Harold delve deeper, they face personal challenges. Evelyn grapples with guilt over her past complicity in promoting the very financial systems that led to the collapse. Harold, burdened by the weight of being right yet unheard, struggles with disillusionment. Their shared mission, however, fosters a growing bond between them. Jonathan Sterling, presumed dead after his mysterious disappearance during the stock market crash, resurfaces under a new identity. Disguised and operating from the shadows, he infiltrates Marcus Lang's inner circle, aiming to dismantle the corrupt empire from within. Jonathan's transformation is both physical and psychological, as he grapples with guilt over his past actions and the desire for redemption. Evelyn Monroe, once a prominent financial columnist, now works closely with economist Harold Finch. Their bond deepens as they investigate the systemic failures that led to the economic collapse. Together, they uncover a web of corruption involving Marcus Lang and high-ranking officials, revealing how greed and negligence exacerbated the Depression's impact. Through clandestine meetings and the analysis of confidential documents, Evelyn and Harold piece together the extent of Lang's manipulations. They discover that Lang orchestrated market fluctuations to destabilize competitors, including Sterling Bank, and leveraged political connections to avoid scrutiny. Their findings point to a deliberate effort to consolidate power and wealth at the expense of the public. As Jonathan delves deeper into Lang's operations, he is haunted by the consequences of his own past decisions. Witnessing the suffering caused by the economic collapse, he becomes increasingly determined to make amends. His dual life becomes a tightrope walk, balancing the need to maintain his cover while seeking opportunities to aid Evelyn and Harold's investigation. A chance encounter leads to a tense reunion between Jonathan and Evelyn. Initially met with shock and mistrust, their shared goal of exposing Lang's corruption rekindles their partnership. Harold, though wary, recognizes the value of Jonathan's insider knowledge. The trio forms a covert alliance, pooling their resources and expertise to bring the truth to light. The episode opens in the early 1930s, as New York City grapples with the depths of the Great Depression. Unemployment has soared, with one-third of the city's workforce jobless, leading to widespread poverty and despair. Shantytowns, known as Hoovervilles, have sprung up across the city, including a large settlement in Central Park, as thousands are evicted from their homes. Jonathan Sterling, operating under a new identity, has infiltrated Marcus Lang's inner circle, aiming to dismantle the corrupt empire from within. However, maintaining his cover becomes increasingly perilous as Lang's suspicion grows. Jonathan uncovers plans for a massive financial scheme that could further devastate the already crippled economy. Evelyn Monroe, working tirelessly with economist Harold Finch to expose the corruption, faces a devastating betrayal. A trusted ally leaks their findings to Lang, leading to Harold's arrest on trumped-up charges. Evelyn is left reeling, questioning whom she can trust as the walls close in. Harold, imprisoned and isolated, endures harsh conditions designed to break his spirit. Despite this, he remains resolute, using his time to document the injustices he's witnessed, hoping that the truth will eventually come to light. Lang, growing increasingly paranoid, uncovers Jonathan's true identity. In a tense confrontation, Jonathan narrowly escapes with the help of a sympathetic insider. Now a fugitive, he must navigate a city teeming with danger to reunite with Evelyn and plan their next move. Evelyn Monroe, determined to expose the corruption that led to the economic collapse, orchestrates a daring plan to free economist Harold Finch from wrongful imprisonment. Utilizing her connections and wit, she stages a public demonstration highlighting the injustices faced by the common people, drawing attention to Harold's plight. Jonathan Sterling, having infiltrated Marcus Lang's inner circle under a new identity, gathers critical evidence of Lang's illicit activities. Risking everything, he comes forward to testify in a public trial, revealing the depth of the conspiracy and his own past misdeeds. His confession shocks the public and adds weight to the case against Lang. The trial becomes a national spectacle, with newspapers covering every detail. Evelyn presents the evidence collected by Jonathan, while Harold provides expert testimony on the economic implications of Lang's actions. The courtroom is packed with citizens seeking justice, and the proceedings are broadcasted over the radio, capturing the nation's attention. Lang is convicted, and the corrupt officials are removed from power. The trial's outcome restores some faith in the justice system and paves the way for economic reforms aimed at preventing future crises. Evelyn, Jonathan, and Harold, though scarred by their experiences, emerge as symbols of resilience and integrity. Jonathan Sterling, once a prominent banker whose actions contributed to the financial collapse, is now a man transformed. Having testified against the corrupt industrialist Marcus Lang, Jonathan faces the consequences of his past. Determined to make amends, he collaborates with city officials to establish programs aimed at rebuilding the economy and restoring public trust in the financial system. Evelyn Monroe, having played a crucial role in exposing the corruption, channels her efforts into journalism and public speaking. She becomes a leading voice advocating for economic reforms and social justice, using her platform to highlight the struggles of everyday Americans and push for policies that address income inequality and unemployment. Economist Harold Finch, whose warnings about the impending economic collapse were initially ignored, gains recognition for his foresight. He is appointed to a governmental advisory board, where he contributes to the development of policies aimed at economic recovery and financial regulation, ensuring that the mistakes of the past are not repeated. The trio, Jonathan, Evelyn, and Harold, reunite to spearhead initiatives that provide relief to those affected by the Depression. They work together to establish community centers, job training programs, and financial literacy workshops, aiming to empower citizens and foster a more equitable society. Jonathan Sterling, once a prominent banker whose actions contributed to the financial collapse, is now a man transformed. Having testified against the corrupt industrialist Marcus Lang, Jonathan faces the consequences of his past. Determined to make amends, he collaborates with city officials to establish programs aimed at rebuilding the economy and restoring public trust in the financial system. Evelyn Monroe, having played a crucial role in exposing the corruption, channels her efforts into journalism and public speaking. She becomes a leading voice advocating for economic reforms and social justice, using her platform to highlight the struggles of everyday Americans and push for policies that address income inequality and unemployment. Economist Harold Finch, whose warnings about the impending economic collapse were initially ignored, gains recognition for his foresight. He is appointed to a governmental advisory board, where he contributes to the development of policies aimed at economic recovery and financial regulation, ensuring that the mistakes of the past are not repeated. The trio, Jonathan, Evelyn, and Harold, reunite to spearhead initiatives that provide relief to those affected by the Depression. They work together to establish community centers, job training programs, and financial literacy workshops, aiming to empower citizens and foster a more equitable society.